And now moving on to another pivotal session on compensation cess, I request Shri Jatin Harjai, FCA advocate and leader, J. Jha Legal, to please come on the stage and take the session forward. Can we have you on the stage, please? Let us all put our hands together, everyone in the audience. Please, a humble request that let us all engage in these wonderfully curated presentations for you.
All the dignities, committee members, very good evening to all of you. Looks like आपने कुछ break नहीं दिया, it looks like that, huh? Oh yes, I get to know कि वो थोड़ा सा program was somewhat delayed and then maybe coping up. Anyways, so next approximately 40 or 45 minutes we are going to discuss taxes.
Sir, use this slide. Use this one.
This one?
Play next, yes.
This one is forward?
Yes.
This is back. That's it. I'm sure you must be in line with the quote which is there on your screen as of now. But still we have to comply with all the tax requirement. That's what the proper way to deal with or carry on our business. Important is, many a time, the government also takes some decision whereby the taxes are not like, which we can say a honest tax collection mechanism. And today's our presentation or maybe thought process is on that only. Compensation cess. Though in this ever-changing world, it looks like it's a issue which was very hot 6 months ago. Now it's like dull ho gaya, lazy ho gaya kind of. But it's actually very important from two angles. Number one, some of the amount or your potential asset could be drained, number one. So there are efforts which are going on to save that. This is what number one. And more importantly, the second aspect is, अभी शेर सो रहा है. जब जागेगा तो सभी के लिए जागता है. Time limit is approximately 4 years. So till 4 years time, the officers can wake up and issue notices to all dealers on this issue, on the issue of compensation cess for the fresh demands. This is what aspect which I think we all must bear in our mind. Lastly, I just thought it would be not good if I don't discuss the recent and very new challenges which are in front of dealers. So many income tax notices under section 148A are there. So when this program was curated, I'm sure the Indraji or whosoever has designed this program, your compensation was an absolute theme. But the way notices has been received by the dealers in last 15 to 20 days. So now the very important aspect is this one. So I'll touch that aspect as well. Just to touch upon, when we are on cess, so what is cess actually? Is it somewhat different from tax? Some basic understanding. I will not go into so much deep aspect. Is it somewhat different or tax? Cess is a tax itself. Sir, sabhi ke liye tax hai, actually. You are very right. ये जो आपने बात बड़े लाइटर मैनर में बोली है एंड इसी के पीछे इसका सारे झगड़े का राज छुपा हुआ है. Cess is nothing but a tax. But only with one caveat, that there is a specific use of that tax. That's it. For example, income tax is being collected from all the taxpayers. GST is being collected. This amount goes to the consolidated funds of India or consolidated funds of a state, and government is not accountable to identify where this amount has been utilized. One-to-one correlation is not required to be identified for any taxes. But for cess purposes, the moment cess is collected, one-to-one correlation has to be there that so much of cess has been collected for this purposes, so its spending has to be identified. For this purposes, cess was collected, it is used for this purpose. This is what the only difference, otherwise there is no difference between tax or cess. Now, ecosystem we all know, earlier it used to be CGST, SGST plus cess or IGST plus cess. Now what going to happen? Cess is gone. In simple terms, with effect from 22nd September 2025, either it's CGST, SGST or IGST. That's it. In fact, Honorable Supreme Court, in case of compensation cess under the GST law, has specifically said, in Mohit Minerals case, that it is nothing but an increment on the GST itself. That's a key aspect. It is nothing but an increment of our own GST rate. Just like you think it's a tax rate is 28%. No, tax rate is effectively 28 plus 15, whatever it is, or whatever cess was applicable at that point of time. That is what the correct rate. It is an increment of the existing tax rate. Now, this is what in general sense. Now, if I'll just touch you with some of the basic concept of the taxation. Very, very famous jurist was there, Wisconsin-Simon. They quoted Lord Keynes. And this line is very important. We should keep this aspect in mind, because we should not expect something extraordinary. Mr. Wisconsin-Simon said, in a taxing statute, one has to look merely what is clearly said. That's it. The same aspect has been quoted by our Honorable Supreme Court in the Godrej soaps, which says, there is no equity about taxes. This may sound absurd, but this is what truth of the life. There is no equity about taxes. If the law is clear, whatever it is written is the law. That's it. There are very few areas available on the basis of which that can be challenged. And as of now, what the law is, as of now, the law is in front of you, what was brought with effect from 22nd September 2025, very famously called GST 2.0. In general, if I'll see, there was a mass reduction in tax rates, but as far as cess is concerned, lawmakers said that the rate of tax has been replaced with the term nil, meaning thereby on or after 22nd September 2025 there will not be any cess, and we are not paying that. We are not paying that. But the problem comes, the first issue, that many of us were having balances in their credit ledger as far as cess is concerned. And in some cases, this balance is huge. If you are having higher inventory, the chances are this amount will be higher. If you are new dealership, the chances are that this amount will be more higher. You'll have to do maths for that, and you must be aware with all of your dealerships that how much cess is there in your electronic credit ledger as of now. So now what government said, okay, henceforth you are not required to pay any cess. There is no provision as far as GST law is concerned that what to do with that balance which are lying in the credit ledger. There is no transitional provision is there. And the law as it was enacted on 1st July 2017, it was the cess credit can be utilized against the cess liability only. So as on date, the law is cess is yours. It is your asset. They recognize it. Government recognize it. It is in your balance sheet. but you cannot utilize it. So if in layman terms I will say this asset's value is zero if it cannot be utilized. Let's say you are having a 1 crore rupee in your Cess credit ledger. So till 21st of September 2025 it was having value of 1 crore. On 22nd it was demonetized without new currency, without replacing it. This has been done. And there is a notification, gazetted, approved, etc., etc. So this is what law of the land as of now. And if you can recollect, what I said is, there is no equity about taxes. Whatever is written in the law is fine. There are very, very few exceptions to challenge the law when law is clear. If there is an ambiguity, then so many aids are available. But if the law is clear, this law is clear. Now, FADA has took this pain, and so many representations were given to the government that there must be some transitional mechanism. Just like when you introduced GST in 2027, I was having a VAT balance, I was having an excise balance. So you allowed me transition of that VAT balance to SGST, CGST, excise balance or service tax balance as an CGST credit. So this should also be allowed. These kind of representations were there. But when it was not honored, there was no outcome. FADA has filed a writ petition before Honorable Supreme Court on the basis of certain principles. One of them is doctrine of legitimate expectation. Just like it was done in the VAT, excise and service tax, I legitimately expect that this amount will also get transitioned to the new regime. It is my vested right. Whatever taxes I have paid is my vested right. Please mind, if some tax student or the tax practitioners are there, there may be a disagreement in this word. Because so many judgments of the court says, no, this credit is not a vested right, rather it is a concession. I agree to it. But please mind my words once again. It is a concession with some conditions. The moment conditions are met, it becomes a vested right. It becomes a vested right. Vested right means a thing or an asset which no one can take from you otherwise than by way of authority of law. And there is no express authority of law. The same is protected by Article 300A of the Constitution. So this is what I just introduced you, this one aspect, that probably one of the book asset is there in so many dealers' book. There is a attempt going on to revive that. The only thing to be done by the dealers is please make sure that remain stand in your books. Do not write it off. Because this is a time when your audits are going to start in a couple of months. You may get a suggestion from the auditor that okay, we write it off now, because it is not realizable. So my suggestion is, please do not do that and keep that balance of ECL in your books intact. This is what my advice to all those dealers who are having balance of Cess, because FADA is fighting the case on behalf of the members. So if there is some positives are there, it will apply to all the members. Coming to the next aspect, which is a bit scary. Sai Girdhar ji told me that darana mat kisi ko bhi. I normally do not do that. But जो reality है, सच्चाई है, I need to tell you with possible solution as well. So that was the one issue कि आपकी books में ledger में balance है, वो अभी dead हो चुका है आज की डेट में, it cannot be utilized. It's a non-performing asset. So that issue is over. Now I am on a second aspect. And the second aspect is, can there be a fresh demand on account of cess credit? That is what one of the key aspects. And please mind, some of the dealers has already received the notices for it. तो now again जो मैंने आपको एक डायलॉग बोला था, शेर अभी सो रहा है, तो it's like that only कि some notices were issued, handful notices were issued to the dealers, there were replies, but as of now we can understand that उन्होंने भी ठंडे बस्ते में डाल दिया, because of they are also aware that there are ongoing litigations are going on because of this. But the department is having plenty of time to reopen these kind of things. 4 years from the end of the due date of the annual return. That means from December 26 plus 4 years. That means 2030. Till that time they can reopen these cases to demand this kind of amount. So precise point which the department is saying is, whatever stock you are having, closing stock as on 21st/9/2025, please calculate the cess assuming that you have sold the vehicle, or you can say it otherwise, whatever amount you have claimed as a credit of cess, please reverse that. So let's say you are having 100 vehicle in your with you as on 21st/9/2025. You have claimed X amount of the credit. Let's say hypothetically 3 crore rupees you have claimed cess credit on them. And let's say you are having 1 crore rupee of the credit ledger balance. So as per department, your liability is 3 crore rupee, 1 crore you are having in credit ledger, utilize that, 2 crore rupee you paid. This is what a kind of demand has already been raised to the dealers. The background behind this demand is, there is a provision in the law which says if any of the supplies becomes wholly exempt, then you have to reverse the input tax credit which is available on that date. And as far as cess is concerned, because cess there is a separate enactment. Just like IGST Act is separate, CGST Act is separate, SGST Act is separate, UTGST Act is separate, the compensation to states cess act is different. So qua cess act, these supplies are exempted now, and to support this they use a definition which is provided within the statute which says what exempt supply means. Even the nil rated supply will also be treated as exempt supply. It is being provided in section 2 subsection 47. And there is a specific provision under the cess law itself which says if the particular term is not defined, then you have to borrow it from there. And provisions of the CGST Act which will mutatis mutandis apply to the cess as well. 2.2 and section 11. These two provisions are there. This is what a story behind asking this demand. And I have a firm belief with my experience that in times to come, most of the dealers are going to receive the notices on this pretext. I'm not saying you need to pay it. This is what the departments call that this is going to happen. Now let us try to understand on my purpose of standing here is to analyze whether this kind of demand, which has already been made in a couple of cases and which is expected in many of the dealers, is it genuine? Is it lawful? So first of all, if we go by logic, is it actually exempted? You just have this comparison. You all know what the tax rates were earlier. Now what is the tax rate? Earlier I was supposed to pay, let's say in case of large car, 28% plus 20%, that is 40%, 48%. Now, government says we have reduced the tax and reduced it to 20%, 40%. Is it really exempted? Exemption of cess could be said to be there if I was supposed to pay either 28% or 18%. Whereas it is nothing but the cess has been subsumed or merged with the regular GST, then just like other cases, there was some reduction in the tax rate as well. So many cases are there in when GST 2.0 was there. In so many cases, the price reduction, the rate of tax reduction was there, and it is there in this case as well. In fact, in many cases, there is no reduction at all. Aerated water, though not from this industry, but I have quoted this example to understand that earlier the tax rate on aerated industry was 28 plus 12, that is 40%, and now also it is 40%. Effective rate. Can anyone by logic say that that is exempted? By logic. But law and logic may not go hand in hand. So let's go on law. This is what a FAQ released by the Ministry of Finance itself. They also admit this. They have subsumed or they have merged cess into the mainstream GST. Coming to the another aspect. We have discussed this, whether it is exempted or subsumed. Another, a very interesting point, if we'll go to cess law and do that find exercise, Control F, and write the word exemption, you will find there is no provision as far as exemption is concerned. There is no provision at all. Meaning thereby, when the law was being made, there was a thought process in the minds of the lawmakers that we are not going to give any kind of exemption because either it will be notified or not notified, chapter ends. So that is what one of the aspects which courts are going to consider greatly. Second point is, when we have received the detailed working of the department in the notices, they are exploring, obviously they will as well, the definition of exempt supply they are taking from 247. Now the catch is, in 18.4, which is for reversal of the credit, it does not use exempt supply word, it uses the whole term which is wholly exempt supply. So that's a third critical observation. Fourth is, there is no mechanism as on date which provides how to make this calculation. And 18 is very specifically says in these situations, as far as CGST as GST is concerned, law says the manner will be prescribed. Prescribed means prescribed by rules. We will provide the mechanism. And there also the cess is absent. So there is no mechanism in the rules also to provide how the cess is to be reversed. What will be the mode? And it is one of the settled principle. Supreme Court and BC Srinivasa Shetty says, if the machinery provision is not there, then levy fails. That's another aspect. Now, last but not the least, in this count from the assessee side's argument, very important. If one will carefully read this definition, section 2.2 of the cess law, it says words used and not defined in the cess act will be borrowed from the CGST law. Words used but not defined. Now please mind, this word exempt supply or wholly exempt supply, both are certainly not defined in the cess law, but please mind, not used as well. The moment it is not used, 2.2 fails. That means you cannot borrow it. These are some of the defenses which the dealers has to take for whenever they these kind of notices come to them. Now let me come to the another new challenge, which I thought, which I said it will be there. That insurance commission notices. I don't know whether this picture is made by AI. So these arrows are correct or not. But actually that's let me tell you, you are receiving these notices from the income tax department. But if you want to curse, you can curse the GST officer for them. Because it is the GST investigation which was initiated on insurance companies on a pan-India basis. And they discovered this kind of a structure is going on, whereby overriding commission is being paid through different channels. This is what initially the cases were made by the GST department, and nowadays data flows from one department to another, and now this has been picked up by the income tax department. Income tax department also done a detailed investigation. Whosoever has received notices, and if you have read their papers in full, whatever note they are giving it to you, whatever kind of information you are giving it to you, if you have read that, you will agree with me that the investigation at the company level was great, undoubtedly. So they have examined whole of the structure, what the structure is, how it is being passed on, what kind of entities are there, who is involved in each and every sub-broker kind of thing. Now the important is, you all know that insurance commission, how it is routed, insurer to MLBE, to beneficiary, whatever it is. Now before I further proceed, I just want to touch one aspect. See, neither income tax nor GST or any other law can surpass the Constitution of India. So our mother law is, or supreme law is, Constitution of India. Article 265 of the Constitution says, no tax shall be levied or collected otherwise than by way of authority of law. Please mind this line, this is very important. It is written in negative in Constitution. No tax shall be collected or, that means neither tax shall be levied nor it will be collected. That means even if there is a valid levy, but if the collection is not lawful, it cannot be said that this tax is in terms of Article 265, that means government cannot have it. Very important and key aspect. Now whether correct levy is there or not, I will not comment on it right now, because it is a factual aspect. It may vary from dealer to dealer. So I will not comment on that, whether whatever kind of notices are being issued by the income tax department for so-called escapement, whether on merits they stand or not, it will have to be examined for a dealer to dealer basis. But certainly I want to comment on the other aspect, collection, because it is not only levy, but the collection must also be lawful. Otherwise, levy will also fail. Now, what the department has done is, they have done a beautiful investigation at a macro level. At a macro level, these are the insurance companies, these are so-called MLBs are there, this kind of things are there, everything is there. Statements recorded for so many purposes from these companies, etc., etc. And then what they did is, they just in a stereotyped manner applied the same at a micro level, that means to the end of the recipient or the nominee or the beneficiary level. Now this is the situation which is actually, we must be knowing this aspect. In no cases, I have seen 12, 13 notices so far. in a great detail. And I could not find a single notice in which a specific linkage is provided as far as assessee, that means dealer or the other, that insurance agent or the person who is receiving the amount is concerned. There is no direct linkage, no direct evidences are there. Absolutely not there. What the department has done, what they have done is, if you are coming in our database, initially the database was picked from the insurance companies, filtered through MLBs. Now the notices which are being received by the dealers or the nominees, they are nothing but a copy paste, just copy and paste. Notices are given on the basis of that data only. And it is settled principle, then if you are having a data, you means department officers. Data is not equivalent to information. Please mind it, there is a difference between data and information. If you are having a data, you can initiate inquiry, you can initiate investigation. You cannot come to a adjudication stage directly. And invariably in each and every case, what has happened is, the AO who has given you the notice has just copy pasted that data, even provided in the notices that we are copy pasting. We have received this data from this portal. In this, it is your name. And that is why there is an escapement of income. It cannot be the legal standing. These cases cannot survive in law. Undoubtedly, they are not going to survive. Please mind it. Law uses the term information. Honorable Gujarat High Court has very categorically came on it. This says data is not equivalent to information, and it is the duty of the respective officer who is issuing you this notice. You first initiate the inquiry on the basis of this data. You check with the assessee, you check with the assessee's bank account, you check with the assessee's returns, you check with their books of account. Then if you think it is correct data, then it can get converted into information. Then you have a right to proceed with 148, not just copy pasting. Similar kind of aspect has also, judgments has also been delivered by the Delhi High Court and Karnataka High Court very recently in these type of cases. So that's a very critical aspect. Why I am telling you, just because, okay, don't surrender it. One more aspect, last line on this. Please mind, many places, what has happened is, the notices are given to the individuals in whose name actually bills are there. For example, some overriding commission is received by X, who is not a dealer, maybe a kin of dealer, but he is not a dealer. He has filed his return, maybe whatever income, 10 lakh, 1 crore, doesn't matter. If tax is there or not, doesn't matter. It is law of the land. If someone is having 10 lakh rupees of income, as of date, there is no tax on 10 lakh rupees. If he is having 1 crore rupees, there would be tax, so he must have paid the taxes. So as of now, what is happening is, in many cases, those independent individual persons has received these notices. For escapement, what is escapement? It was required to be taxed, but could not be taxed. Whereas your return itself shows the taxes has already been paid. Can it be escapement? It cannot be. It is nothing but a classic example of copy pasting exercise. So it cannot be. So that is very important and key aspect. Both those things which I just shared it with you. taxes are going to stay here. Don't think ऐसी कोई scheme आने वाली है कि taxes won't be there and वो banking transaction tax लगने वाला, nothing going to happen. Or I just remember the quote of Einstein as well, Albert Einstein, which said that this is what the most difficult thing, taxes, which I could not understand. So a person of a caliber of Einstein says so. If you think कि मैंने जो बोला आपको थोड़ा सा grip में नहीं आया तो don't bother about it. You may ask the question, and if you do not want to ask, then also it's fine. With this, I conclude my session and I'm open for any questions which you have. Yes, please. I think you must have already shown that, no? So you are making a future planning for this? Don't do that. Yes, it can be. Doesn't make any difference from the 148 angle because tax rate is not different. Either it will be a BNP or it is other sources. Tax rate in both the same things are same. No one can allege it is an escapement.
So what's the update on the Cess writ petition?
It is filed. Notices are issued by the Supreme Court to the department. Government is yet to file their replies. What is the stand of the government? Government has not made it clear till now. They are supposed to file their written reply to these before the Supreme Court, which has not been done. You are tracking dates, huh? If I'm not wrong, the next date would be somewhere in middle of May. But this is tentative dates which I am telling you, maybe 11th or 12th May. But since there is a holiday, there will be a holiday in Supreme Court after maybe 15th or 16th of May. So I do not expect, with my experience, I can say it will be very difficult that it will get listed at that point of time. So you can expect that listing would be done somewhere in July or August. Next date of hearing would be in July or August. Court takes time. So don't expect key, and I can suggest you and can advise you, do not track the dates. It may take maybe a couple of years. Yes, sir. I cannot comment percentage wise, but there is a fair chance. I would say there is actually hard-earned money is invested with the government, and dealers are rightful in having that money right back. Yes, sir.
For overriding commissions, for overriding commissions.
या आपकी आवाज बिंदास है यहाँ तक वैसे भी आएगी.
For overriding commissions, I
Please.
remember you said that probably till 2020 or 2021, before that if there is something, there is no problem, but after that there was some act in income tax which says that in case of these things, it can be taxed to the amount that is received.
See, there is a limitation of 3 years as of now under the income tax law to reopen the cases, but only and only in cases whereby the evaded amount is till 50 lakh rupees. If 50 lakh crosses, then the limitation is 10 years. 10 years. If it is beyond 50 lakh rupees. I think it's done. So to whole FADA team, thank you. Thank you very much for having me here. And it was nice talking to you, everyone. Thank you.